Hi guys, welcome to week 4. This week you really want to focus on your research proposal. I've already graded all of your annotated bibliographies and your quiz 3s. So if you haven't looked at your feedback for those, please go in. You can go in Blackboard to the grades section of our class, and if you just click on the title of the assignment that you want to view feedback in, then you can view your feedback there. Also, I did send video feedback to your emails. I decided to skip the YouTube portion of this just because I know some people are still having trouble logging into YouTube to view those videos, so I wanted to make sure that it was easily accessible for you, so I just sent it via email. However, if anybody does need subtitles, please let me know because I will have to use YouTube and I can easily upload the video to YouTube and share it with you that way. So if you need subtitles, just send me an email and I will make sure that you get them. If you haven't turned in your annotated bibliography yet, you want to do that as soon as possible because right now with the late penalty, you're looking at, if it's Monday and you're watching this video, you're looking at minus 32 points out of 100. So that's like a 78 max that you can get. And then that's assuming that, your annotated bibliography was perfect. I know that sounds like a lot of points, and you might be thinking, well, what's the point in doing it anyway if I'm going to lose that many points? But 78 points or, 60 points or whatever is better than 0 points. So just keep that in mind. If you haven't done it, definitely turn it in. Of course, you're going to get dinged majorly for the late penalty, but again, points are better than nothing. If you haven't done quiz 3, again, if you're watching this video on Monday, it's really only minus 4 points at this point because quizzes are just minus 1 point per day late. So definitely turn your quiz 3 in because I'm happy to go through it, and the feedback that you get on quiz 3 I think will really help you for your research proposal. All right, so let's talk about what you guys are doing this week. First, you are going to read chapter 5. Chapter 5 is called Writing an Argument. Now, it might be a little preemptive because your research proposal isn't necessarily a full-on argument with an introduction, a body, and a conclusion, but it does have those sample paragraphs that has argumentative writing in it. So I think it's good for you to go ahead and read through that. In the chapter, it will talk about narrowing your focus, which I think is probably the section that will most closely relate to your research proposal because it will help you kind of figure out with all of the content from your movie or TV show that you can analyze, with all of the arguments that you can make about accuracy, how are you going to narrow your focus down in your research proposal and then maybe broaden it back up in your final paper. So I think that part is going to be really helpful. It talks about audience and tone on page 72. Also, that will be helpful for your research proposal because I do want you to address audience and purpose. And then it goes over the logic of writing and avoiding logical fallacies. So I think that element is particularly important to know for probably more so for your final paper. One of the final readings in chapter 5 is called The Gender Wage Gap, and you want to make sure that you read that because you will be asked to write about it for the quiz this week. So that part of the chapter will come up again. So make sure that you read that. You're also reading a little bit more about audience purpose and tone this week. You'll be reading out of your Prentice Hall reference guide about the rhetorical triangle. It's a really short reading. It shouldn't take you too long. So make sure that you read that. And then you'll take a quiz on the gender wage gap, which is the reading for this week, and it's essentially going to be asking you to analyze audience purpose, tone, or I think there's another question, and I can't remember what it is, but it's a short answer. You'll write a paragraph responding to whichever prompt you pick out of, I think there are a few of them for you this week. Okay, so once you've finished your quiz, and again, your quiz is due on Wednesday, and that's the 28th of February, make sure that you're really heavily working on your research proposal this week. That's due by the 4th of March, by midnight. And remember, just as a reminder, and definitely if you're not clear on the assignment for the research proposal, go back to week 3 because I've linked the assignment guidelines in that week. And of course, I also, like when you click on submit your research proposal, I also link you again to the assignment sheet, but it is important that you understand the specifics, and I'm just going to really quickly run over all of the major details. So in your research proposal, make sure that you have an introduction that gives like a narrative explanation of why you chose your topic, why you are interested in this. This is just part of proposing research, is explaining why you decided to go in the direction that you went. Your introduction should pose a research question, so you should literally have a question in that paragraph, and then answering your question is a working thesis statement. So I want to be looking at those to help you for your final paper. You also want to have a section addressing your audience and your purpose for writing. Remember, your audience is not anyone. It's something much more specific than that. So if you need help, make sure that you're doing the readings for this week, because both readings are going to address audience. You will also have a section addressing your current and future research. So what research have you already done or you're in the process of doing? What research do you still need to do for your final paper? What haven't you found yet? And then finally, you'll have a sample of your final paper writing. So you'll show me some sample paragraphs, and those sample paragraphs will look a lot like the paragraphs that you wrote for quiz 3 last week. So you will have a scene paragraph, and then you will have a source paragraph where first you show the scene and you make a suggestion about does that suggest that this is going on in the profession or this other thing is going on in the profession? Then use your sources to back up as to whether or not that suggestion is accurate and true to what it's like to work in that job. So in the TV show that we watched last week for quiz 3, many of you made suggestions about the scene that said that community suggests that community college is just for second-rate students. And then in your second paragraph, you use the sources to argue that what it's showing on TV is really not true. Community college is for much more than second-rate students. It's mostly the same as going to a university. It's just a little bit cheaper. Okay, so that's what I want to see. In your research proposal, as another reminder, you can use I in your introduction. You can use I in those sections addressing audience and purpose, in the section addressing your research, but make sure once you get down to that final section where you're showing me samples for sample writing for your final paper, that you do not use I. The added benefit of that final section with the sample is I'm going to give you lots of comments on your work for that, and then you can improve those paragraphs and put them in your final paper. So in that section, you're kind of starting the work that you would be doing in your final paper, and you can use it. And I do not consider that self-plagiarism. So keep that in mind. I think that covers everything that I want you to do this week. Really, as far as lessons go, it's just a couple readings that are relatively short because I do want you to focus the majority of your time this week on writing your research proposal. As you guys are working on that, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate. You can send me an email or you can contact me through the Remind app, of course. I will be looking out for questions, so send them to me if you got them. Otherwise, I hope that you guys have a good week, and I will be in touch with you soon.